Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with D-Link. Today's host is Alfred Loya, and he is their Sales Account Director, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Alfred will be able to answer them at the end of today's presentation. Alfred, thank you so much for being with us today. We greatly appreciate it. I am finished for now, so please go ahead and take it on over.
Super. Thank you so much, Julie, for the introduction. I'm proud and honored to be here presenting the D-Link solutions with Microcom Technologies and your customers. Today's segment will be an overview of D-Link's new surveillance switch offerings. These are very interesting switches, but before I begin, let's go ahead and proceed with the PowerPoint presentation. A little bit about D-Link. D-Link has been in business for over 38 years now. We were established in '86. We saw the proliferation of wireless from its inception to today. Seeing the likes of 802.11b, 802.11a, 802.11g, 802.11n, AC, and today AX technology, soon to be Wi-Fi 7 coming around the corner. These are the things that D-Link manufactures: switching, wireless, and a ton of stuff besides that, like firewalls and IP surveillance cameras. And around surveillance, these switches that we're going to talk about today are going to be very important and would be a very good application in your daily projects and customer needs. One thing about the D-Link switches that you can take to heart are that they usually come with full-on lifetime warranty or very sturdy warranties around the switch line. With regards to the unmanaged and consumer switch line, we're going to only see limited warranties, like 1, 3, or 5 years, because of the type of product it is. But when you're talking about unmanaged business products, you're going to get limited lifetime warranties, and the Smart Manage and Manage the full lifetime warranty. And that's where you can rest assured that the products you invested in are going to stand up to, a long duration and sustain the network needs. Today's series, the DSS200G Smart Managed Surveillance Switch from D-Link, comes in 2 different flavors. We have 24-port variety and a 10-port variety. These come with 6 kV surge protection on their Ethernet ports, and they come in with internal power supplies. Cool feature, they do support ONVIF for automatic camera detections in the event that you have ONVIF compliant cameras. And it also has surveillance mode that will help you auto detect any like Hikvision, Dahua type IP cams. There are specific features called PD Alive, which automatically reboots any edge device that happens to lock up. We also support perpetual PoE and fast PoE functions. So this also can provide non-PoE capacity. So a lot of key features that I wanted to bring to the attention. The most important one is this thing is 802.3BT compliant, which is 90 watts. That means it can push a very high capacity. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the cool features that we have in line here. Obviously, we have smart fans. It's very efficient, helps with heat dissipation, and it's very quiet. So there's noise reduction. There's also a alarm port that you can have specific alarms or buzzers sound when specific abnormal behavior happens. Again, mentioned for the gigabit Ethernet ports, they do have 6 kV surge protection, which helps protect against devices and surges. These units also come with SFP ports, which help long distant hauls with utilizing fiber optics. Supports gigabit Ether copper and or fiber uplinks. There's another key feature, a very huge feature, is that these are, on the MPP models, they'll have a higher wattage capabilities, able to push out 90 watts on each of the parts. Some of the cool features on this is the ease of management with these dip switches. Dip switches give you easy to configure features such as QoS, extended PoE, which extends the typical distance of the PoE offering from 300 feet to 250 meters. So it's a pretty big extension. You can also set up an easy one-click button to do either port isolation or to have the PDLI feature active. And there's also a standard STP protocol that you can enable with the ease of the flip of a dip switch. So there's also some key status indicators in the front. These LEDs give you some information, key information on the usage of the switch, on PoE status, and how much budget might be readily available for any new cameras or edge devices you might need to power. And then again, you do have an alarm LED. Besides a buzzer, you can have an LED that flashes when some abnormal behavior does happen. And let's go and look at these dip switches a little bit further. It's as easy as on and off the specific features. Something to note is that you should be able to only do one at a time. And so let's talk about that for QoS when it's enabled. The number of ports. The order of ports defines the priority of the package. So port 1 is the highest priority, and on. So if you're the CEO, you probably want to have your computer connected to port 1. So then the other extend mode dip switch selection, it actually extends up to 250 meters. So instead of only 300 feet, now you can go tremendously farther. And it brings an ease of use and deployment, meaning that maybe you could put a camera now on a ceiling or on the edge of a building with a little bit more ease and to power that further distance away from the switch or power source. So port isolation is the third dip switch selection that you could utilize, and obviously it's going to just give you like a VLAN situation where ports 1 through 8 will be kind of isolated, and basically all the ports will only be able to communicate to an uplink port. So it's putting a VLAN across all switch ports and only letting it go to the uplink. So the dip switch option number 4 is going to be a PDLI feature, which means if you have any edge devices like PoE cameras, access points, things that are constantly needing power, this feature sends like a little beacon. Hey, you're live, you're good, you still getting power? Yep. But if something is not responding, this PDLI will discover it's not responding and send a reboot to recover. And then the dip switch number 5, this feature is to enable the spanning tree protocol, and it helps restore connection that's accidentally disconnected through that NC feature. So here's how they stack up with regards to the specific offerings. The 2 10-port offerings come in a powered flavor and then a more powered flavor. So the first one on the left is going to give you 130 watts with its offerings on all of the ports. You could do about 30 watts per port. On the next one over, when you have the 10 MPP, now this one is capable of doing the 90 watts per port, all 1 through 8, and it has a 240 watt budget. Very interesting, all the features that stack up here. Now, when you look at the 24 port offering, something again, you have the MP version. It's going to give you a pretty solid PoE budget offering at 370 watts. And then you have your next offering, which is going to be a little bit more beefy with regards to how much PoE budget you're offered at 518 watts. Can give you a lot of that 90 watt per port. Again, 1 through 8 full of 90 watts. Ports 9 through 24 would be a maximum of 30 watts. So still a little limited, but got a lot of budget to work with. So the extended PoE feature, that feature is easily configured on that dip switch on the front of the switch, but you can also configure it through the GUI. So there's 2 ways you can manage it, and the recommendation is to use the GUI. So basically, when you enable it, port speeds drop to 10 megabits per second as your distance increase. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. If you need to have better speeds than that, maybe extended PoE might not be a good idea. Maybe you do need to have something closer to it if it's going to demand a faster throughput. But if it's a typical IP camera, it's usually not asking for more than 10 megabits per second typically. Yeah. But yeah, that distance is very important when it comes to putting cameras or edge devices somewhere far that's needed to cover areas, distances that are hard to. Again, the Category 5 cable, Cat 5e or better is recommended when you deploy these types of features. So some of the PD Alive. Now, when you do the PD Alive, again, we kind of spoke about that it automatically reboots a frozen edge device or powered device, a PD. The smart switch pings it on a preset interval, 10 to 300 seconds, but it expects a reply each time. And when it doesn't, that's when it'll kind of send an automatic reboot for anything that seems problematic. And then you can also get notifications sent to the IT manager or the administrator of the network. So that's kind of how it works. You'll see a ping, reply, you're good to go. A ping, reply, you're good to go. A ping, uh-oh, no reply. A ping, uh-oh, no reply. Okay, now we're going to do that power reset. So basically, it'll do the power reset for the device, bringing it back to life. And then, okay, you have a notification. Something went down with one of your edge devices. You might want to take a look at it. So other new features with that 802.11 3BT, signal signature or dual signature for 4 pairs PD. This is a lot of heavy information with regards to the power over Ethernet capabilities of both the edge and also the handshake that's done from the switch. In order for things to work, you do need to be conscientious of how that signature is handled. Single signature or dual signature. MPS, signal signature presented by the PD. Reassuring that the PSE that it's still present even though it's not drawing full operational voltage. So this will like keep things moving even if like a camera, like a PTZ camera is not necessarily in full motion, it might be pulling less of a power draw. This will still that it's maintaining, everything's good, no need to set any reboots. So all these features are very important when it comes to deploying IP cameras to keep them up and running continuously and have good continuity with your video recording and analytics. So here's a common PoE application in the security industry. You see that most business IP cameras support PoE. A lot of them, you can use VLANs to keep surveillance traffic separate from your data. And then the BT feature helps you with higher power capacities and requirements from the edge devices. A little example down below. So obviously access control, this is another application that you could utilize these switches in. Surveillance is access control, surveillance, things of that nature where you're going to need to have some type of control over your edge devices. So here's an example of a network topology with an access control configuration using the door controllers, card readers. So obviously, we can also power access points with power over Ethernet. And you can place these like in ceilings, on walls, hard to reach areas, because you have the capabilities of running that PoE and data through the Ethernet. So that way you don't have to have a power port on the ceiling somewhere. So multi-gig is getting popular, and interfaces with Wi-Fi 6 and 7 are becoming more mainstream. So as the technology moves forward, so will the requirements for the network speeds. So we typically deploy gigabit these days, but there's more and more demand for multi-gig and higher capacity throughputs. So IP clocks are also popular with PoE and PoE Plus. These things are easily managed and operated through the switch that can provide PoE, and it usually syncs up with an NTP server, so that way everything is all synchronous. Here's an example of how we would accomplish doing the less than 300 feet deployment with PoE. If you didn't have a PoE extender, this is typically what you would need to do in order to get your edge device powered effectively with data and power from an Ethernet PoE switch. Anything that exceeds that 300 feet, you would need to have a little hop in the middle to extend further than that, another 300 feet. In this situation, you're talking about 200 to 300 feet, depending on if you're going to do it one more time or not. But yeah, these are all limited by the technology. Other devices that can be utilized would be PoE splitters, in which you push the PoE to a splitter, which then splits out the data and power. So a device that may not be PoE enabled could take advantage of PoE capabilities by including a splitter to split the PoE, the data and power, back to the traditional non-PoE type device. LED lighting is also something that is becoming more mainstream with networkability. So here's something that could show a little lighting control, energy efficient, tunable LED lightings. There's no need for now to plug them in and take up conduit space, but now you could utilize the PoE capabilities and network topology to add any lighting aesthetics. So PoE applications in summary are pretty much good for a lot of applications. They can go to many vertical markets. We find them popular in schools, businesses, hospitals, healthcare, hotels, retail, casinos, a lot of other vertical markets. They're popular in also state, local, and in the military. So that really wraps up what I had to present to you. I will want to follow up and provide the PowerPoint to our folks at Microcom. If there are any questions, I'd like to open it up for the panel now. Julie, if you have any questions from the audience, let me know.
Thank you so much, Alfred, for that wonderful presentation. And yes, I do have a few questions here for you. Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. Here we go, Alfred. Let's see here. Can you elaborate on the durability and reliability of D-Link surveillance switches, especially in harsh environments?
Good question. Now, I will say that these are industrial switch type material. They are rated to be an indoor use type product. D-Link does manufacture products that will and can sustain the rugged, harsh environments and outdoor temperatures exceeding normal operating temperatures and lower than normal operating temperatures. D-Link has our own industrial switch offerings. That would be something that if you're looking to see if we have something that may be rated for higher temperatures or even lower than freezing temperatures, would recommend to potentially look into our industrial switch lineup.
Thank you very much, Alfred. Next question here for you. Can you discuss the energy efficiency features of D-Link surveillance switches?
Yeah, I guess we can. There was a previous slides in the slide deck that we had. Let me go ahead and go back there and get to the energy efficiencies. So with regards to the energy efficiencies, we're going to talk about the green technology behind it and potentially the smart fans. The smart fans are going to be some of the things that are going to be the main green technology. It's going to add energy savings in times that the switch is not in use or in prime operation where all cylinders are pumping and it needs to get cooled down. The smart fans don't need to operate all the time, so they do shut off and they only kick in when it's a threshold that is calling for the switch to become more cooler. First off, second off, the other power savings, the energy savings that you could utilize is how you actually deploy your PoE budgetings. So that's something that would either be pulling from your normal electricity bill. If you use too many wall sockets, that may be counterproductive to saving energy. When you use more of your PoE ports from your switch and you have edge devices that are capable of that, that's where another energy savings factor comes into play in your network deployments. So those are the two main stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Julie.
No problem. Only if you're finished.
Yes, that was the two main things for energy savings are going to be the smart fan features, and then the second is a sound deployment for all the PoE devices that are capable.
Thank you so much. I wanted to thank you for going back to the slides that you already showed. A lot of times folks ask, as you know, to elaborate on things that you touched on, and then you go back to the slides. Appreciate that so much. And so here we go. Another question here, Alfred. What redundancy features does D-Link offer to ensure uninterrupted surveillance operations?
Well, that would need to be possibly heavily dependent on the STP protocol. And when these switches won't have your traditional dual power supply, so redundancy, the switch itself is not going to be a factor or play with regards to this. But the redundancy factor is possibly going to be where the spanning tree protocol is enabled, and redundancy is from edge switches being able to have a path back up to the core should a cable be cut or be removed from one of the switches that need to connect to the main core. If you have spanning tree enabled and you have more than one link from the edge switch to your main or to other switches in your network, it'll find a route around to continue the connectivity. So spanning tree protocol.
Thank you so much, Alfred. Next question here for you. Pardon me. Can you discuss any partnerships or collaborations that D-Link may have with surveillance camera manufacturers?
No, not necessarily directly with surveillance manufacturers, but we do have the full-on on-VIF compliancy. And that's where, one of the main things of how we have a open architecture network, this switch kind of discovers any IP camera that is ONVIF compliant. So that's kind of what the nice work of the switch is, and how it plays nice with other vendors, other cameras, is due to this ONVIF compliancy. So that's one of the main features. That's one of the main partnerships, and how we can interoperate and play well with other vendors' cameras.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question here, Alfred. Here we go. How does D-Link ensure backward compatibility with older surveillance equipment and protocols?
That's a tough one. That's a good question. So, with regards to older technology, we see maybe, I don't know. That's a stumper. I might have to get with my engineering, but I'm thinking that for older cameras, um, a lot of the people that I see are doing, hey, got to keep this camera in place. It's an old analog camera. What do we do? I'm seeing a lot of third parties coming in and switching over those networks from analog to digital. And once they're digital, then they can be, networked versus being ran on maybe coax or old technologies. But that's my best recommendation. I'll take it up with my engineer and get back with you, Julie, on that one. It's a good question. If you can be so kind to key that one question back up to me, I'll run with it.
Of course. No problem. No problem. Thank you. Next question here for you. How are the physical warranties you give for brand new items?
With regards to this one, this series switch, the surveillance series switch, is a smart managed switch. So this particular line, all four of the models are going to have a full lifetime warranty. Each of our products may play with different types of warranties depending on class of product. But if you're talking about our managed series or smart managed series switches, yeah, you can rest assured you'll have a full lifetime warranty.
Thank you so much, Alfred. Next question here for you. I believe this is the last question. Here we go. Do your switches need firmware upgrades? And if so, are they available to download on your website?
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah. A lot of IT technology continues to develop and upgrade and have to have patches and feature enhancements as technology progresses. So yes, they will definitely be firmwares for switches, and yes, they're free for download from our support site. Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much, Alfred, for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone attending. And if anyone has any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep, or you can email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And I'll touch base with Alfred on that one question that Alfred asked for a follow-up. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please remember that this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel so we can all view it again. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Alfred. I'll be in touch with you so that we can follow up and have the next D-Link webinar, and so you can show us some more of wonderful information that your company has for all of your products and services. Thank you, everybody. Again, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.